Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dot Race video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 22. We're here in the Red Bull Ring with Pecco Bagnaia, starting at the back of the grid, and we're going to try and work our way through the pack and win this Grand Prix, but we're going to do it with only using power setting 2. So into turn 1 we got the job done, and now into the slipstream of many riders in a bit of a bunch there, as well as we bump into the side of Franco Morbidelli. I don't think Franco will appreciate that, neither is Raul Fernandez behind us, who's had a great start. That's a lunge up of the inside into turn 3, or 2B as they started calling it in MotoGP. As we know, outbreak Jack Miller and a couple of other riders onto the right hand side for Remus for turn 4, and Fabio Quartararo is out of the Grand Prix already in the early stages of this Grand Prix. So what a championship advantage we now have. Well, think of the points we could regain if this was the case in real life, but sadly not to be. The championship is still relatively close, but not as close as it could have been if Fabio had actually come off during the Grand Prix of the Red Bull Ring. So now to the left hand side we'll go with Enea Bassini leading the way with Aleix Espargaro in second, and Jorge Martin ahead of us. So as this race will progress, I do want to maybe talk a few things, not too much in depth, but I'm sure we can have a little chinwag about some things. But of course, MotoGP bringing out sprint races next season, of course taking inspiration from World Superbike, British Superbike, and some people who don't watch those sports will tell you F1 was the reason behind the inspiration. But anyway, moving on from that, just my thoughts and feedback on the whole sprint series, and I probably will do a full video of this at some point, because I think we do need to have a good old chinwag about the future of MotoGP as we go really wide into the Niki Lauda curve. A little bit wide, but we still held it into the first corner as the Beast goes alongside Bagnaia into the hard part of 2A, and then we'll try and get out of 2B on top. But looks like this time around, not going to happen. But anyway, Dr. Ace's thoughts and opinions on the old sprint races for MotoGP. First and foremost for me, I don't like it. Oh, and Enea Bassini's gone down into turn 4. Goodness me, was not expecting that. But I don't like the sprint races, I'll be frank. Doesn't seem necessary in MotoGP. The only thing I'm interested in is keeping the riders safe and keeping the action intense. That's pretty much the only thing I'm really interested in. Of course, the sport's in great hands. It's really going well. It's been great competition this year, but there has been a few boring races since the introduction of all these winglets and now the dinosaur fins on the back of the Ducatis. Many changes, ride height devices, electronics, you name it. Yes, I'm not a fan of all that, but as someone said in my Discord server recently, I think it was Sergio as a matter of fact, so shout out to him, this needs that. It needs those sports to be, this sport needs to be the fastest motorcycle racing sport out there, and if this is what it takes to make it the most fastest and intense sport with the best riders on the best prototype machines, then so be it. But I don't think sprint races are going to help to change anything. For me, getting ready for a MotoGP week is watching the press conference in the week, watching the practices on Fridays, watching the practice and qualifying on Saturdays, and if there's a Moto E race I'll watch that as well, and then Sunday we all prepare to wake up, in Britain at least, for 10 AM to watch Moto 3. We then watch Moto 2, and then we go on to the big bad boys. The tension, the excitement, the pressure has been building for the MotoGP race at 1 PM. That for me is the perfect weekend of MotoGP. Adding a sprint race to Saturday is going to really dilute that feeling of excitement for me, because yeah, I'm getting a race, I love racing, I want to see as many races as possible, but it takes away that excitement, that pressure, that feeling of there's one shot at this. You crash here, you got to wait till next year to come back and give it another go. So I'm not sure how the sprint races are really going to work in that effect. I think first and foremost we need to tackle qualifying first before all this, because I'm fed up of people towing. Too many riders waiting on the racing line, waiting to catch a tow, wasting probably at least a lap or two just following another rider or waiting for the opportunity to do so. So for me, tackle that, and also tackle the fact that there's less overtakes nowadays compared to what we have seen before. The riders, the fans, the people in the business all want to see more overtakes. That's what makes racing exciting. British Superbike, World Superbike has a lot of overtakes. Some competitions where I've watched in the past, such as MXGP, I really love MXGP, but those races tend to go quite stagnant and separated, where someone will get to the front, 15-second advantage, 20-second advantage, whatever it may be. The rider in second will have another 10-second advantage to third position, for example. So I do need that overtaking. That's part of the excitement. And even the Red Bull Ring, it was quite exciting because, of course, what was Fabio Quartararo was doing, how Pecco Bagnaia was riding. Moto 2 was pretty decent, apart from the fact that Ayagura and Somkiat Chantra was just doing the 1-2 until towards the end of the race. Moto 3, pretty exciting, always is, though. You can't really ever say Moto 3 isn't exciting. There's so many riders going up on the inside, overtaking, crashing, you name it. There's always a lot of intensity and excitement in the lower class. But for MotoGP, sprint races, not for me. Now you may be wondering, well, Superbike, British Superbike do it as well, so what's the difference? And it's simply because of the history of MotoGP, of having all those years of the same thing going on and on. I'm not a big fan of change. First person in the world to admit that. I don't think any of us are a fan of change, let's be honest. And I just think it's really going to dilute that weekend as a whole. I do, in one way, I do see the great side of it. It was more racing. But that could be 42 races for the riders, 44 races, could be 40 races, whatever it may be. That's a lot of racing on the MotoGP boys. And my other biggest fear is, if you have a team that is struggling, and you now have to reduce some of your practice time to do a sprint race, you're not going to benefit at all. You're going to just sit in another race where you finish dead last, or 25, 35, 45 seconds behind. That's not great for them. They need more time to practice, they need more time to fine-tune things. So for them, terrible. Terrible. And even for the guys at the front, so Pecco Bagnaia, Fabio, all that extra work. If they miss, maybe let's say they have an accident in the sprint race, or maybe they have an accident in the practice before the sprint race, they'll now lose double amount of points almost, or points and a little bit more, in a weekend where they should only lose one. Now, something I did want to mention, but it seems that that's been cleared up, it's the point situation slash history and how they're counting the Grand Prix wins. So they're counting the Sunday wins as full Grand Prix wins and Saturday's sprint races as a separate category, and probably half points. I do prefer that, because I think if you're going to have a rider who's coming up to MotoGP and is dominant in the sprint races and then maybe wins a couple more, they could fly up the stat book and beat some of the greatest riders in history in a couple of years, rather than having to work as hard as they did for winning one Grand Prix. And I think sometimes that does get really diluted, because Jonathan Rea in World Superbike, 100 wins in Superbike. Amazing. That's an incredible stat. But then you look at Rossi, who has 115 in much less races, but that's because he didn't have the opportunity to do a sprint race. Maybe we could be looking at Rossi having 200 wins. Marquez could have already 100 plus wins. Lorenzo would have had more than 100 wins if we had sprint races. So for the whole comparing eras, we shouldn't do it, but we obviously do. Wouldn't make sense to me to then compare a rider who's done 50 sprint race wins compared to someone who's done full Grand Prix wins. Just my 2 cents for that one, but there's a lot of debate, and I'm really not sure how I feel about the thing, because Moto E this year has disappointed me. I really enjoyed Moto E last year, and the previous year, the actual beginning of it all, the penultimate year as well, was fantastic. But I don't know. Moto E this year for me has lost excitement because of the 2 races. It wasn't really as, oh my goodness, you know, this is down to the final corner, it's down to everything, because this is his one chance of getting the win here today, compared to, well, it's not a problem, he can just race again tomorrow, it's not really a big issue. And I think it's completely taken excitement and the intensity away from Moto E, at least for me, at the very least. I was really enjoying it last year, where I was getting to the point where I would make sure I was still watching by 4:30 so I could watch Moto E. This year, I don't know. I didn't enjoy Saturday's race, and I didn't really care for Sunday's race either. And that's not a knock on Moto E, as obviously a lot of people don't watch Moto E because of the whole electric idea. But I found it was okay until recently. I just don't really care for it, and that was since they added the 2 races over the weekend. So we'll certainly see what happens. I would like to have a full in-depth look at this, so I guess for you guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about it? Let me know your opinions. It'd be great to have a little chat about this, possibly in a live stream or even as a full video. So let me know in the comment section down below, and let's finish this Grand Prix, because so far, sadly, I've not done much commentary in the race, but I have just led the Grand Prix from almost start to finish. Of course, we did start from the rear as Jack Miller is off of the podium in this video game format, not like his real counterpart. Fabio Quartararo, fastest man on track, as Jorge Martin, he has clawed down the gap ever so much. It's down to 0.3 of a second. Power setting 2 may not have been the best option, but we are going to take the victory into the final corner now, into the nice tight part for the Red Bull Mobile, and we bring on the power, bring on the acceleration, and across the line, Pecco Bagnaia wins the Red Bull Ring of Austria. So guys, thanks very much for the chat, thanks for listening, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments section down below, as I mentioned already. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And of course, if you have any suggestions or recommendations or any requests, let me know in the comments section down below. Ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more Dot Race content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single Dr. Race video.